Hey, my name is Elram Convich, and today I'm with.
Maria Hadden, candidate for Alderwoman in the 49th Ward.
And tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and why they should go out and vote for you.
Sure. So I believe that the best representation we can have in City Council is an independent, progressive voice. I've spent the last decade working in nonprofit world with local government and community organizations to make sure that community members' voices are centered in decision making and that we're raising the standard on ethics, inclusion, and equity in government. I believe that's the kind of experience that we need to see in City Council, and that I'll be the best representative for the residents of the 49th Ward.
And you've also acknowledged that you agree with Joe Moore on a lot of things. Why is it that you feel that it's time that Joe Moore steps down and you take over?
Sure. Well, 28 years is a long time, and some of the accomplishments in his early career, I think, were fantastic and had a significant impact on the lives of Chicagoans. The Fair Wage Ordinance, his support of launching community policing, and of course, a process that's near and dear to my heart, launching participatory budgeting, right? This community decision-making process in the 49th Ward around public budgets. And at the same time, though we agree on some of the high-level issues, how you do things is just as important as what we get done. And over the last 8 years, he's given up resident voice in exchange for mayoral favor and power. So he's gone from someone who stood with community members on issues to someone who's voted with the mayor 98% of the time. Many of those votes were things that had a negative impact on community members in the 49th Ward, where we were very outspoken and against. The school closings, the mental health clinic closings, his choice and stance of supporting the mayor in the cover-up of the Laquan McDonald shooting. These are things that they're not for us, they're for him, and a representative should be for the community.
And Joe Moore has expressed his experience in the office, of course, and his city hall clout. What would you tell people who say they don't want a rookie alderman?
Sure. So over the last 10 years, I've worked with a dozen aldermen in this city. The Parks Department, Department of Transportation, the Budget Department, multiple high schools and Chicago public schools, and countless community members. I've worked with mayors, city managers, budget directors, and city council people in over half a dozen cities around the country. So local government, how things work, is something that I've got a lot of experience at. So I'm not starting from scratch. And this is a community that I've organized in, volunteered in, and worked with professionally, even working with Alderman Moore's office. So everyone's got to start somewhere, but residents certainly won't be getting an alderman who's starting from zero with me.
And you've described essentially that Joe Moore in the last decade has done a lot that might have even harmed the community as a whole. Would you say that you would, if you were elected the alderman, would you reform the ward?
Some of the things that I'd like to do differently are to, we need a housing and development plan. We need an economic development plan. I've seen a lack of leadership coming from the office for ward issues, more than that's probably my biggest complaint. It's just like a lack of taking action, planning forward. We need leadership that's thinking about how we're going to be impacted and what's good for residents here for the next 5, 10, or 15 years, not just what's happening now. So that's one difference that I'm bringing to the office. Another big issue that I think has been the biggest weak spot for the current alderman, he's not a supporter of our neighborhood public schools. Public schools are the backbone and the grounding of a free and functional democracy, period. I feel very strongly about that. Chicago Public Schools has been plagued with mismanagement, corruption in its leadership, and of course, funding issues. I plan to be a champion for our neighborhood public schools, work to make sure we're bringing resources, boosting enrollment, marketing for the schools so that parents who live here want to send their kids here, but also being a champion for us in City Hall and with CPS to make sure we're getting the funding we need for better programming and for infrastructure investments. That's something that he's been absent on for years.
And is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you would want to add on?
I would just say that we've got a fantastic opportunity in the city of Chicago in this election, both in the aldermanic elections and the mayoral, to make a decision, like as voters, as people in the community, of what type of city we want to see. Do we want to continue with a Chicago that's ruled by kind of clout-heavy career politicians who ultimately end up more compromised by their political donors than they are public servants and representatives? Do we want a city that's that's led by people who are making decisions for the people? We need new leadership. We need a higher standard of ethics. We need progressive reforms, and we're facing issues that have been around for decades. Like, these aren't new problems. So I say, thinking longer term, thinking about the big picture of how this plays out, and us determining what kind of city we want is something that I'd like people to keep in mind. I've got the experience, I've got the support of residents in the community, and I think it can make a real difference in city council.
And has the governor race impacted the
Mayor
board
race.
race in any way?
Has the mayor's race.
Oh, yeah.
Say,